What's going on, Sumolings? Thank you for joining us for another product walkthrough webinar. I am Lindsay, and I am joined by the team over at Reply. Reply is a tool that searches for business emails on LinkedIn, then lets you automate sending emails, follow-ups, and calls to streamline outreach. You can get a lifetime deal available on AppSumo right now, starting at just $49. Before we dive in to the walkthrough, I want to just tell you a few quick things. The first is if you want to tell us a little bit about your business, your use case, why you're interested in Reply, go ahead and do that over in the chat room. If you have any questions about the tool, the deal, or how to get set up, anything like that, go ahead and leave those questions in the Q&A box down below like the video. We will circle back to those after the walkthrough. And then the last thing is that there will be a replay of this available, so you can watch it as many times as you would like. All right, that's it for me. Joshua, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. It's great to be here and ready to dive in.
Amazing, amazing. All right, I'm going to pass this over to you. Let me know when you are ready for the questions.
All right, perfect. So let me share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see everything.
Looks great.
All right, fantastic. So I just want to give a little bit of background on what I am the specialty at with Reply. My expertise lies in the content strategy as well as the construction and integrations. So any questions pertaining to that specifically, absolutely. And I also have my colleague George here who will be demoing briefly how to get the LinkedIn extension to operate. Very simple, very straightforward. And then we can kind of hop into the main brunt of the tool. So George, if you want to just briefly go over how to kind of get the extension set up and just show a couple of examples, and then I'll take it from there.
Sure, sounds good. All right, so hi everybody, my name is George. I'm with the sales team here at Reply. And part of my daily job is to show this functionality that I'm going to be showing you right now on a daily basis. And this has had an overwhelmingly good response from our customers. So the functionality that I'm going to be showing you is relatively new. We recently added it just a couple months ago. And the unique thing about it is something that allows you to find emails of your prospects for free, and that comes with your Reply subscription that you get with AppSumo. So the way it works is as follows. You need to have our Chrome extension, which is technically actually 2 Chrome extensions, so which is why I'm showing you the Chrome Web Store right now. So the first thing you will need to do is to go to the Chrome Web Store and search for reply.io. So this is not the most kind of obvious thing, which is why I wanted to start with this one. You need to have both of these extensions installed in your Chrome browser, and that's how the search will work. They kind of talk to each other. And as a side note, these 2 extensions are going to be merged into one going forward within the next couple of months. But as of right now, it has to be 2 extensions. And once you have them installed, all you need to do in order to take advantage of the free email search with the Chrome extension is to essentially do a search on LinkedIn. Or for those of you guys who have a Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, that's going to work in Sales Navigator as well. So all you need to do is to apply some sort of search on LinkedIn. So what I'm usually showing is searching for a certain role like a CEO, and then applying certain filters like, you know, territory, industry, or any other filters. And as you guys know, Sales Navigator will give you even more of those filters. So once you apply those filters and you have a list of search results as a result of that search, which is typically 10 search results per page for regular LinkedIn and 25 search results for Sales Navigator, that's all we need. That's all our extension needs in order to start searching for their email. So the first thing the system does, we kind of parse the page, and we get their first name, last name, their LinkedIn URL, their title, everything that we can get from LinkedIn, from the public LinkedIn profile is going to be recorded into the Chrome extension immediately. But the second thing that happens is we start searching for their emails, and that's our proprietary search engine working in the background. It takes I would say 1 to 5 seconds per contact. You may have noticed that some of these contacts, there was like a search, rotating search icon next to the person's name. That's when it indicates that the search is running in the background. And when we do find an email, you will see the actual email person, and we will put a check mark, meaning that we are ready to put this person into our reply database. From here, all that's left to do is just to save them to reply to your reply database in case you want to decide later what to do with them and which campaigns to put them into, which sequences to put them into, sorry. And or what's even faster, you can pick that sequence right from here. If you already have created a good sequence for this type of ideal customer profile that you're searching for, you can pick that sequence from the list of sequences and then save to reply. In which case, if the sequence is active, it's going to be indicated by the green circle right here. Those people will get into that active sequence right away, automatically starting to receive your emails from that sequence, which means that you don't have to go back to reply. You don't have to upload anyone. You don't have to do anything else. They will start receiving your emails from that sequence, which is already running. And that's it. Another thing you can do is you can pick a list or a number of lists and think of these as your like tags, because you can put the same person into multiple lists. For instance, I'm searching for CEOs, and I also know that I'm searching for them on LinkedIn. So I have two lists for that. So I can put them into those lists so I can quickly find those people later in Reply itself, which is what Josh is going to be showing you, the platform itself. So that's it. And from here, it's not only for 10 search results per page. You can move on to other pages, click on the second one. And as you do so, this list will start growing with the next 10 people and then the next one. And so you can add more and more people, and the reply search will be running in the background with the contacts that we can find. So a couple of things here. The accuracy rate that our product team is claiming is pretty high, 90 to 95%. And the success rate is something that we recommend testing yourself. That's not something that we can kind of advertise because there are so many variables involved, and we always recommend people to run their own searches to see what kind of success rate or the percentage of people that they actually find emails for that they will find using this Chrome extension. So we encourage everyone to test it out to see whether they like it or not. If you have any questions, let us know. Reach out to myself and the rest of the Reply team and let us know. I think that's it from me. Josh, do you want to take over?
Yeah, absolutely. One last thing about the LinkedIn extension as well. If you happen to click into a specific person's profile, you will actually be able to pull a little bit more information than normal using this basic version. So if you're looking for more context for an individual, you can click on a specific person and then a number of different fields will begin to populate. The email search is based on the same parameters as the overall extension. So we're not going to pull in things if we can't verify them. We're going to verify them to the best of our ability. But if nothing shows up, it's either not publicly available on their profile or we weren't comfortable enough in putting that into your account. So we're just going to leave it blank. We'd rather fill your stuff or your account with a limited number of contacts than a bunch of bounces, which will affect the rest of your business moving forward. But yeah, I can take over the screen from there, George. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Guy.
All right. So in general, Reply is a sales automation platform. You will create a number of sequences in advance. Those sequences can pertain to any number of different use cases. I've just come up with a few basic ideas here. They are honestly immeasurable at this point. We're working with so many different types of groups that it's it's a very adaptable system, and pretty much whatever you need it for, it can be worked in a certain way that will fit that style. So yeah, I'll kind of go through my regular routine and any specific questions we can cover at the end. Each account will come with access to 2 sender slots. We have upgraded that originally. And each of those email addresses will have a daily limit of 500 emails per day. The monthly limit on these deal accounts is 500, so you'll be able to reach out to all of those people on a daily basis for the entirety of each month moving forward. Speaking to that, you probably don't want to start sending 500 emails out the gate just for the sake of your domain reputation. The main difference between Reply and other platforms that perform a similar function is the way we connect to your accounts and send the emails. So we are not sending from stock servers. We are sending directly from the email account that you connect in your login. If anything backfires, if you're sending out too many, that impacts your domain specifically. So we do recommend caution, and we have a plethora of documents outlining a proper warm-up process, as well as our live chat. So any questions that do arise will be addressed. Just in general, you probably want to start off with around 50 emails per day and then slowly ramp up by 10 or so per day until you hit the maximum of 500. And then as long as you're consistently sending your emails, you never really have to drop down again. We also have Reply Academy. So a lot of the questions, the basic things that you're probably going to be wondering about can be found in video format here. Some of these that I've recorded, George has recorded, the team has kind of put these together to give you a full rundown of how to use the tool in the best way possible. I'm obviously not going to be able to cover everything today, but I am going to do my best. These limits will reset automatically on a rolling 24-hour period, so you don't have to kind of babysit them. If you want to take the set it and forget it approach, you absolutely can. Everything is designed to be created in advance and then iterated upon based on the interactions that you see incoming. So on your first pass through, if you're not completely comfortable with how things have turned out, if you don't like your response or open rates, everything can be adjusted. You can edit existing content, you can add new steps, you can change schedules. There is only one piece that is locked in, and that is the sender address. Once you've begun sending emails from a particular sequence, you cannot go back and change the address partway through. There are workarounds for that. You can duplicate sequences and move your contacts to another one, and then kind of start from where they left off originally. But again, everything is designed to be iterated and improved upon. So I'll walk you guys through a basic campaign setup, and then we can kind of hop into questions. So when you start creating a sequence, you are given two options, from template and from scratch. The templated options are Reply curated sequences. They are multi-step, and in some cases, some power users have been gracious enough to offer them for public consumption. They are designed as starting points if you're struggling to figure out where to start or what to say or how to structure your content for a particular use case. These are just a couple of general examples, and they will be completely fleshed out once you've selected one of these options. For the sake of the demo, we're going to go from scratch. When you start selecting a sequence type, you are given three different options for these steps. The tasks are, at this time, purely notifications. Think of them as sticky notes. You will set a reminder for a particular task outside of the regular email outreach that you have to perform manually. The end goal for this kind of content is to automate these processes as well. But for now, I just want to stress it is manual based. It's not going to automatically start sending LinkedIn requests. For calls, they're kind of a mix between tasks and emails. If you are not using the separate paid version, it is not part of the main plan, and this is the case for all subscription tiers that we have. It's a by call basis. If you're using the unpaid version, it acts exactly the same as the tasks. You will set a reminder at a certain point in your sequence to give those contacts a call. The only difference is your people will be automatically filtered into a list that is named to call. So you can automatically pull up that list whenever you need it, know when they need to get those calls, and then kind of work your way down that list from there. The paid version allows you to set a threshold of opens, And based on people reaching that threshold, you will get a ping on your mobile device asking you if you want to initiate a call with them at that time. Then it'll be up to you whether you can take that or not. So you can kind of set a general bar for engagement, indicating a certain level of interest, and then the system will automatically ping you whenever that threshold has been met. Emails are the bread and butter of the system, and this is what the platform was originally designed around. Everything that we create in here is designed to help filter you towards today's best practices according to the current cold email climate, so to speak. So as you start writing anything, these metrics on the right will begin to populate. And these are direct comparisons to our top performing campaigns over the course of our kind of lifetime. And they do go in order of importance. So subject length, word count, and question count are going to be the areas in which you want to spend most of your time getting precisely right. Reading level and positivity are much more fluid in their definition, and it's going to be incredibly tricky to nail them 100% of the time. So if you're not getting them exactly to the point where you need them, don't worry, try to get them as close as possible. And remember that these are not guarantees, they're just guidelines. This isn't going to confirm nor deny how people are going to react with you. It's just, again, a barometer to get on the right page to start off. Spam word count is going to pull in a lot of generic terms. As it's comparative in nature, there are a lot of generic terms that are used in both good and bad campaigns. So if you see the spam word count kind of skyrocketing, don't worry about that. As long as you're not kind of leaning heavily into very salesy or traditionally marketing terms, unless that's your goal, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Within the template editor, we have all of the usual bells and whistles you would come to expect. So you can insert images, attachments. We even have a Vidyard integration, so you can embed videos directly in your outreach. And we also have a source code editor. So if you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can tune the HTML to a certain degree. Reply was designed with one-to-one personalized emails in mind. So we tend to recommend not overloading with all these other aspects, but again, we want to apply to as many different use cases as possible. So if you are, for example, working on a regular newsletter, you want to make that visually dynamic, we will give you the opportunities to do so. We also have the option to import variables. So when importing contacts, whether through an integration or via a CSV file, you can map specific fields, and then we can use those fields to dynamically update your content based on the contact profiles. Most of the time you're going to be using company or first name as a kind of, in the most general circumstances, but you can essentially bring in any type of information that you want. And then anything that's in these kind of squiggly brackets over here will be confirmed as a variable. One thing I want everybody to know is always grab the variable from the drop-down menu. If you misspell or have a slight typo in a variable, it no longer qualifies as the original variable and will go out as typed, or the contacts will become inactive, meaning they will not receive the email at all. So you really want to make sure that you're doing it right the first time. Just grab it from the menu and it will automatically format in the proper way. We also have a CC function underneath the subject lines. So if you do want to kind of have someone in your organization looped in on all the conversations, we have that option for you. You can send immediate tests. And if you really like the content that you've created, want to share it with potential team members, or just use it and have access to it easily when you're creating a new campaign or sequence, we have the Save as Template option. And you will be able to find those in the personal and team tabs accordingly, depending on where you've saved it. Okay. We do have A/B functionality as well. So you can A/B test different subject lines, different copy types. There is no limit to kind of the number of variations you can create. Though I do recommend, just as a best practice, to focus on either content or subject lines, just so you can be very clear as to what's working for you and what's not, depending on the metrics of your choice. For follow-up steps specifically, if you leave the subject line completely blank, and this is a point of confusion that a lot of people have, if you leave it completely blank, the follow-up steps will thread directly in as a response to the previous message. So if you're trying to get people engaged in conversations, trying to drum up sales, you really do want to take the approach of making it as easy as possible for your particular audience to respond to you. One of the simplest ways is to make sure you're keeping their inbox as clean as possible. Nobody wants to get 5+ different emails from a complete stranger. This will help maintain the integrity of their inbox. It's going to be much easier to find all the information that you're providing them, and it just looks nicer. While on this page, we do have the kind of cadence set up. So you can, in advance, schedule how much time between each particular step takes place before the next one activates. And these can be changed and adjusted at any point. This is never locked in. Day 1 is always the day that you turn it on, or the day that a contact is added to the sequence. So it's not a global thing. If I add 10 people today, they will get the next email 2 days from now on day 3. If I add them tomorrow, their day 1 is tomorrow. So it's not a universal system. It is unique to the individuals that you place in your sequences. Next is how we send the email. So speaking to my point earlier about sending from your own servers, we don't want to send all of the emails in a single batch at the exact same time. That's obviously going to end up in spam folders, potentially even getting yourself blacklisted. So we have designed Reply with a number of different systems on the back end to automatically avoid all of the most common pitfalls. So instead of just choosing a day and then sending them all out at a pre-designated time, you will select days of the week and then timeframes within those days for the emails to go out. By default, it's always weekdays 9 to 5, whatever time zone you have selected. You can change it to literally any time zone that you'd like. You can adjust the time frames to your preference. You can even remove them completely and go with a more custom option as well. Whether shorter or longer, it's going to be up to you. Any days that are checkmarked, emails are allowed to go out. Any days that are not, no emails will be sent. If your cadence, which is what we spoke about just before, ends up landing an email on a day that is blank, we simply move that to the next available send frame. So we never skip steps, we never skip contacts entirely. They just get postponed until the next available send frame. And speaking to the importing of contacts, if you import people with city, state, and country information, we will automatically be able to detect their time zone. And then instead of defaulting to whatever time zone you've had here, it will send in the frames of your choice according to their local time zone. So it'll just make a little bit more sense contextually. And we also have the option to avoid US public holidays. So if you'd like that. And then now we have the importing. Most people will probably be using an integration of some type where the importing of contacts is largely automated. But if you aren't using an integration, if you're not familiar with any CRMs, it's all based on CSV files, which are just different versions of Excel spreadsheets. Your first row of your sheet is going to be the names of the fields. So first name, email, company, pretty much whatever you want. And then everything else will be filled in with the variable data that you are looking to add. There are only 2 mandatory fields, and that is first name and email. If you are missing either one of these, the record will not be added to the system. If you're missing names, if you don't know them, they just need a value. It doesn't have to be accurate. So my recommendation is just putting the word there. So at the very least, you can say hi there in your initial outreach, and it makes a little bit of sense. To create your custom variables, when you're mapping them, you simply add custom field option and you can create whatever you'd like. Then it's as easy as hitting continue. You do have the option to push people to lists. So just purely organizational, you can have different groups of people assigned to different lists. So it's easier to identify them at a quick glance. You can skip updating existing records, or you can automatically detect the time zone based on the previously discussed parameters. Then it's simple as hitting import, and voila, it's done. Imported means they are brand new. This record did not exist in the system previously to this import. Updated refers to the fact that contacts did exist, and this is based on email, so we never create duplicates. If a record existed, we are just going to update the existing one, not create a second. So you never have to worry about doubling up on a certain individual, potentially losing out on a deal that's currently ongoing or being discussed. Updated is here to just let you know that this person was in fact already there. Skipped only happens if you've chosen the skip updating contacts record, or if there are duplicates existing in your list itself. So if there are people with the same email multiple times. And import errors refer specifically to if they're missing either email, first name, or if the email is formatted incorrectly. And all of these different sort of patterns will be fully downloadable, so you can see just what each refers to. So there we go. And then we have the final settings. So again, the sender address is going to be the only thing set in stone, and you will be able to choose from your connected addresses in the settings emails tab. Then we have our daily limits. So you can send multiple sequences from the same sender address. The sender address limit, which we saw was currently set to 500, takes precedence over whatever limit you set here. So if you set the limit in your email account to 50 emails per day, regardless of what this says, it will still only send 50 emails. These are here more so for you to differentiate priorities between multiple sequences. So for example, I have 400 people, 200 of them each in a different sequence. I would want to say maybe 300 for this particular sequence and 100 for the other, just so I have a clear indication of what's going out in which sequence, as opposed to letting the system kind of decide on its own, in which case it prioritizes seniority, so whichever contacts existed before. This second limit can be a little bit tricky. It refers to the advanced email priority type. So you can choose for the system to prioritize your first steps or your follow-ups. Equally divided between is going to be a 50-50 split, and that's all you need to know there. If you've chosen either first steps or follow-up emails, you can then set a threshold for that particular priority email type using this secondary limit. So for example, you only want 50 first step emails to go out per day, and then the rest of the system to focus on the follow-ups. You can set this down to 50 and it will act as such. So I hope that makes sense. It is a little bit tricky to understand. The wording is a little bit confusing, but it refers specifically to the email priority. If you don't want to worry about it, I just recommend leaving it exactly the same as your overall limit, just to avoid any confusion in that regard. Speaking back to some of the backend systems designed to inherently prevent spam detection, we do have a limit for the delay between each email send. So we don't send them all out in a single batch. You can choose a baseline delay between each of those outgoing messages, and we vary that time as well, because we don't want to send in patterns. Patterns imply automation, and automation implies eventual spam. So again, just one of the many things that we've done on the back end to help avoid that as well. We never recommend dropping it any lower than this, because it ends up becoming a little bit too quick. So around 30 seconds to maybe a minute, minute and a half is probably your sweet spot there. You can play around with tracking. By default, opens is turned on, so we're always tracking opens. Links tracking is turned off. You can turn that on at any point, but we do recommend some caution. Again, the more external content and factors that you include in a message, regardless of platform, will impact deliverability. So if you're loading your content up with a bunch of different links, attachments, and then throwing in images for good measure, all of that stuff will land you in promotions or updates folder. And then if you continue to send content in that regard, if you're not designed to do so, you can eventually go to spam. So as a precaution, again, I do recommend showing some restraint when applying a lot of that external content. So again, links, articles, videos, images, all that stuff. While one at a time is not going to be a deal breaker, it can impact once you've kind of added them all up together. By default, based on any context of a person's response, they will be marked as finished and replied. So if somebody responds to my email saying, remove me from your list, they will automatically not receive any new emails moving forward. The system also automatically detects based on context whether or not they're trying to opt out from you. So if they do say, unsubscribe, remove me from your list, stop emailing me, those are usually good indicators for the system to automatically mark them as opted out. So where finished and replied is a sequence specific status, meaning they will only not get an email in that particular sequence. If I move them to a new one, they are essentially reset and they can get emails. Opted out is a universal tag, and I can't even move them if I wanted to. And they're still here. It prevents all future emails going forward. So this is 90% automated. There are certain cases if someone responds to you in a different language, or they're really beating around the bush and not saying stop emailing me, but that's their point, you do have to manually assign them a status. It's very rare that this happens, but we do give you the functionality to adjust any statuses at your leisure. So you can add or remove pretty much anything that you'd like. Speaking of that, you can simply click on an individual and move them to the sequence of your choice. I've got a few right here. And you can simply select the individuals that you want to reach out to, or you can select all of them and then move them to the sequence of your choice. Ignore step delay only refers to if there's a delay on that particular step. So if instead of setting your day one, your first step email to day one, if you set it to maybe day 7, if you don't want to wait the 7 days, you can hit ignore step delay and it will go out as soon as it can. And there they are, all in the sales sequence. I can also click on an individual to pull up their specific profile, and I can add or remove any content that, that I feel is unnecessary. I can send them individual one-off messages. I can even log calls if I am having or adding calls to my overall sequence. And there's also a complete contact history. So from the moment you've added them, it comes with timestamps. Every interaction that they have will be recorded in here. So if you ever want to see kind of the life cycle of a particular individual, you can come in here and even see past sequences if there were any to be shown, as well as a full email history between you and that person. And then I think lastly, to kind of end this demo here is just to talk about filters. So speaking to the custom options and the custom fields and the contact profile, you can search for pretty much any parameter that you really want within our system and pull up a specific list of individuals that meet that particular rule set. So if you don't find or don't want to kind of scroll through a massive list of people going from page to page and picking one at a time, you can search for specific criteria within a particular field, and we will pull everyone that meets that those properties. And so you can choose to either apply the filter, which will give you a new filter temporarily, or if you save it, it will be in this more drop-down menu forever, so you can always refer back to it. And these filters are dynamically adjusted. So as people meet the criteria moving forward, they will automatically be added to them. It's not just a kind of one and done type situation. And then I guess not lastly, but now it is lastly, is our integrations. So we do have a number of stock native options. All of these are able to pull information directly from your CRM of choice into Reply. So this takes a lot of the heavy work and manual effort from adding your lists, and automatically pushes them to sequences or your overall people tab up top. And yeah, depending on which integration you're using, the complexity and flexibility of them can differ greatly. Salesforce and Copper are one of our most robust options, and they allow you to dynamically adjust rule sets that will automatically place people from your CRM into specific sequences. So for example, I'm currently working with a team of 20 plus that each has a sync step designed specifically for them. So once they add or adjust a field on the Salesforce side, it will automatically push those people into a sequence that matches that field type. So you can get really funky with it. You can add multiple different types of rules to get very kind of singular, or you can make it as broad as possible and pull in everybody from your account. But yeah, that kind of sets things up for baseline functionality. If we want to hop into some questions, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, let's do it. Sumo Links, if you have any questions, go ahead and leave those in the Q&A box down below the video. I'm going to go ahead and start asking these. Can Reply retrieve Gmail addresses and not business emails?
So if they are available, if that's what they've kind of set up on their LinkedIn profile, absolutely. The only criteria we're setting up is whether they're valid or not. So if our system deems that the Gmail address is valid and it's on their profile, yeah.
Cool. Wondering how you deal with duplicates when doing subsequent searches and captures, and how are duplicates handled against code quotas?
So this would be a question more for the developers. From my understanding of how it works, it only counts as a new record being added as your quota. So it shouldn't repeat the same people over and over, even though they come up on your list. So you should be able to get 2,000 unique people with your accounts.
Awesome. All right, so this one's a little longer, and it looks like there are multiple question marks in here. So
I'm ready.
Bear with me. Could you clarify the 500 contact a month limit? Can I have more than 500 contacts in Reply, but only send 500 of them in any 1 month with the option to send multiple messages to each of those 500? Is that correct? Or do I keep the number of contacts to max 500 and delete contacts if I want to add another 500 contacts in subsequent months? I did it. That was it.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. So you can house more than 500. The limit pertains to the number of people you've sent first step emails to. So if you go to settings and then plans and billing, and under your subscription, it will show you as you're sending out those first step emails, this is going to fill up. Once you've hit that 500, any new people that you're trying to send first step emails to will not work. But you can send follow-ups to those same 500 people over the course of that same month. So we do take follow-ups in mind, and we obviously want you to be able to get multiple touch points through your sequences. So yeah, you don't have to worry about pulling in only 500 at a time, and you will only be limited to the number of first steps.
Awesome, thank you.
That clarifies everything.
All right, if you do not have an API to my CRM, is there a CSV export that we can import?
Yes, so that's the main way that I kind of showed in the sequences. So if you hit the add people button, you will have the option to import directly from a CSV, and you simply grab the file from your desktop, plop it in here, and then you can map the fields according to kind of whatever you're looking to achieve.
Awesome. Somebody asked, can we stack more than one code?
So the way that the logins work, they're tied specifically to an address. So I don't think you can stack the same code multiple times because that would imply trying to connect the same account multiple times.
Yeah.
But I don't see anything that's preventing you from using different codes for different accounts.
Okay. All right. Do deleted or do deleted or contacts that are inactive, are they included in the limit?
So if they're deleted, they do if you sent them emails. If you delete them after you've sent them an email, it will still register as being sent to. If they're marked inactive, they typically will never actually get, the email will never go out. If you're referring to bounces specifically, those also, I believe they count, but I would have to have some clarity on that. I'm not entirely sure.
Cool. Sorry, a clarification on a question that I asked. Can they export the lists, not import them?
Yes, you can. Good call. So when you're selecting the people, there is an export option, and there's actually two different versions you can do. So basic fields is going to be just kind of our default list of fields. So first name, email, title, company, blah, 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 blah. Nothing that you've created your own, and no statistics. All fields will include all of the stats that are associated with a particular sequence.
Awesome. All right. A couple more questions. And you were right to predict that they would be about limits. All right. If I can send 500 first step emails each month, can follow-up sequences extend beyond 1 month?
So every month, the first email you send counts as that first step. So I speak to John Smith, and I can send him 500 emails over the course of the month. He is now at step 501 by the time month 2 rolls around. The 501st email will count as as contributing to that monthly quota. So it's the first email you send to an individual. I may have misspoken earlier. It's not specifically first step, as in step 1. It's the first email step that you send per month.
Okay. And is there an upgrade beyond that 500 limit?
There absolutely is. So we have a number of different subscription tiers. They are monthly. They start at $70 a month for 1,000 contacts, and then they jump up in price and limit from 3,000 to 30,000, and then you can kind of take a custom option there. You would have to speak directly to our sales team for some more specifics. We do always have annual or quarterly commitment specials going on. So if you guys are looking for a more robust option, if you do see that your initial outreach is getting you results and you want to kind of ramp things up, there's always a place for us to kind of work things out and speak with you regarding pricing.
Awesome. All right. That's the last question that I have here. Sumo this is your chance. If you have any more questions, go ahead and submit those in the Q&A box now. Somebody said this is one of the best webinars on the app they've seen for the AppSumo. So thank you.
I appreciate it. I was very nervous.
You did very well. It was very smooth. We have a question that just came in. Does the system count and report bounces?
We do as well. So this is all automated. Oh, so I forgot to share my screen. One moment. So as people come in, any interaction that comes through will be automatically tracked based on your inbox. So we map the tracking to the same account that you've set up in your settings. Any bounces that come through will be marked accordingly under the status. And they will not receive new emails moving forward. Again, speaking to the backend systems, we don't want to damage your reputation in any capacity. So once someone's been marked as bounced, they will not receive new emails, though you can remove the bounce status. And for any bounced individuals, if you change their email to a correct one and you remove bounce status, they will revert to the previous email that was sent out. So they won't get the second step randomly. They will get resent the first step. just to kind of make things catch up a little bit.
Awesome. All right. That's going to be it then. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Sorry, my video's coming, I swear. Here we are. Thank you so much, Sumo Links, for joining us today. Thank you so much, Joshua, for walking us through. I love it. Sumo Links, if you have not already, you can redeem your code for Reply right now at appsumo.com/reply. Once you are set up, also I should mention it's backed by AppSumo's 60-day guarantee. Once you're set up, go ahead and leave us some comments and let us know how it's working for you. If you have any more questions, of course, you can leave those on the deal page. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Joshua. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a great one, everybody, and stay safe up there.
Yay. All right. Bye.